In July 1995, in a small town in eastern Bosnia, thousands of men disappeared in the space of a few days. They were last seen walking away under guard. Most were never seen alive again. Srebrenica lay in a mountainous pocket of eastern Bosnia and Herzegovina, near the Serbian border. During the Bosnian War, it became a refuge for civilians fleeing ethnic violence in surrounding villages. By 1993, more than 40,000 people were crowded into the enclave, malnourished, undersupplied, and surrounded by hostile forces. That same year, the United Nations designated Srebrenica a safe area, protected by international mandate. A small contingent of Dutch peacekeepers was deployed to deter attack. Their mandate was limited. Their weapons were light. Air support required high-level approval. On paper, Srebrenica was protected. In reality, it was isolated. By the summer of 1995, Bosnian Serb forces tightened the siege. Food convoys were blocked. Medical supplies dwindled. The enclave weakened quietly, long before the assault began. On July 6th, Bosnian Serb units advanced toward Srebrenica. Villages on the perimeter fell with little resistance. Requests for NATO airstrikes were delayed or denied. By July 11th, Serb forces entered the town itself. That afternoon, Bosnian Serb commander Ratko Mladic walked through Srebrenica with cameras rolling. He declared the town liberated. Behind him, smoke rose from abandoned homes. Thousands of residents fled toward the nearby village of Potocari, where Dutch peacekeepers maintained their base. By nightfall, more than 25,000 people were gathered outside the compound. Women, children, the elderly, and men of fighting age. There was no food, no shelter, and no clear plan. The following day, Bosnian Serb forces began separating the population. Women, children, and the elderly were loaded onto buses and trucks for evacuation. Men and boys, some as young as 12, were pulled aside. Dutch peacekeepers were present. They protested intermittently. They did not intervene. Over the next several days, the separated men were transported to fields, warehouses, schools, and remote sites across eastern Bosnia. Many were held briefly. Some were interrogated. Thousands were executed. At the same time, a separate column of roughly 10,000 Bosniak men attempted to flee through the forests toward Bosnian government territory. They were shelled, ambushed, and captured along the way. Few completed the journey. The killings were systematic. Prisoners were bound, transported, moved again. Bodies were buried in mass graves. Later, many graves were reopened. Remains were relocated in an effort to conceal the scale of the crime. By the end of July 1995, more than 8,000 Bosniak men and boys had been killed. The massacre unfolded in full view of international forces and global media. Yet no decisive intervention occurred while it was underway. It was the worst atrocity in Europe since the Second World War. In the months that followed, evidence emerged gradually. Survivors testified. Aerial photographs revealed disturbed earth. Forensic teams exhumed graves and documented the dead. DNA analysis later allowed thousands of victims to be identified and returned to their families. International courts took up the case. The International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia ruled that the killings constituted genocide. Multiple officials were convicted. Ratko Mladic was later sentenced to life imprisonment. Srebrenica reshaped international law and debates surrounding peacekeeping and civilian protection. But for those who lived through it, the consequences were immediate and personal. Families were erased. Communities were broken. The landscape itself became a map of loss. Each year, newly identified remains are buried at the Memorial Center in Potocari. The funerals continue decades later. What happened at Srebrenica did not occur suddenly. It unfolded through siege, neglect, hesitation, and force. And when it ended, it left behind not only a record of mass killing, but a permanent measure of the cost of inaction.